Maralee Burnett. I'm your astrologer, and I'm back with the messages for the week of May 12th, which is going to start off strong with a full moon in the sign of Scorpio. So I will be breaking it all down right at the very beginning by your sign so that you know what may be coming to an end and some closure happening. But it's going to be a surprise. Of course, you know that if you listened to me last week, which means you've already clicked on that subscribe button below. But if not, please click on that now. Make sure you follow me and listen to my content on a daily basis because I post an oracle card or tarot card every day with a little mini astrology lesson to just keep you associated with the energy that's available day by day. Also, make sure you go out to my website, maraleeburnett.com. There you get access to all of the written content, like the article that is out there right now for this full moon in Scorpio. So in the written content, you get a little bit of a different perspective of what the closure and what the surprises might be in store for you. So listen to it all, read it all, make sure you join my website. That way you get access to the written materials. Of course, it's all free. And if you want to work with me, then of course, book a session on my website as well, where we can break down this actual event compared to your natal planets, which makes all the difference in the world. But I do my best here to give you some general ideas of what you can expect day by day and week by week. And right now you can even go out, and I have content posted through July. August should be refined and out there shortly. And then in September, we're already in eclipse season. This year is clicking right along. So you want to be sure to be prepared. Make sure you take advantage of all my free content that's out there for you. All right. So with that, as usual, I have the Astro Gold software popped up here. We're taking a look, as I mentioned, on Monday, the 12th, at the full moon in Scorpio. Now, Scorpio energy, of course, is very intense. The moon's at fall here. It's not happy in this Scorpio energy. It's emotional and it's a water sign, but it's so deep and intense and dark that the moon doesn't necessarily enjoy those emotions. But that doesn't mean we can't learn how to work with them. So whenever we have a full moon, that means it's time for closure, conclusion, something that you've been working on to come to fullness. Like, what were your new moon intentions for the sign of Scorpio and the house that you had that new moon in 6 months ago, right? We have a new moon and then we have a full moon that follows 6 months later in the same sign. So you set your new intentions at the new moon, and then by the time we reach the full moon, all of that work that you've done should be ready to be completed. So again, we can move on. We can move up. We don't just keep doing the same things over and over again. Now, Scorpio, of course, as I mentioned, it's a water sign. It's very intense and emotional. You know, if you think about a scorpion, which is the symbol of Scorpio, they only come out at night. They have a wicked sting. If you try to hurt them, they will lash out at you. If you know any Scorpios, you know this all to be true. But it's also the 8th house. This is rebirth and transformation energy. This is power. This is sex, right? Those two are combined. And it's very intense. So this sign feels things intensely and needs to. And sometimes it creates drama just to have intensity. So this will be a very intense and dramatic full moon. Now, the sun, of course, is needed to shine a light on the moon and bring it to fullness. And this creates tension, right? This is an opposition energy. So it's from the light of the sun that we realize our full moon goals. And the sun gives us a little bit of pressure that helps us see what we need to see. And that way we can conclude whatever this is. What makes this special, of course, is the fact that we have Uranus, the planet of innovation and surprises and lightning and electricity and aha moments. is speaking closely in harmony with the sun. In fact, this connection will just build and grow over this entire week, while the moon, of course, will move on quickly since the moon moves the quickest through all of the zodiac signs. But today there can be some emotional surprises. Today there can be an emotional trigger that leads to a dramatic ending for you in some way. That doesn't mean it's bad. Everybody says, is this a good ending or a bad ending? It's just something is completed. And when it's completed, that opens up a door for new opportunities to come in. And of course, that's what we want, right? We don't want to have the never-ending story going on in some chapter in our life, because then that means we're stuck and we're stagnant. So sometimes we need a little lightning bolt to the butt in order for us to move on, to let this go, to complete whatever this is for us at this time. So I talked about rebirth, the 8th house, transformation. Well, the ruler of Scorpio, while there are 2 co-rulers, it is Pluto that is currently seen as the ruler of the sign of Scorpio. And so we look what's happening to the ruler at the time of the full moon, because that gives us more insight and more clues. Well, Pluto in Aquarius, power to the people, is now retrograde. So we have until October 13th to take a look at and review the work that we've been doing so far this year with Pluto in Aquarius for the first time in our lifetimes, where it's not leaving like last year and it went back into Capricorn for a bit. Today, at the full moon, it is making a square to Mercury. So squares mean change. So there is some kind of change that's needed and necessary for this power struggle, for instance, to come to an end. So Mercury's communication. There can be information related to money, beauty, love, right? All things that have to do with Taurus energy, valuables, the things that we buy. So I'm guessing on Monday that there will be some part of the tariff conflict that's been going on between the US and everybody else that may come to an end, right? Something will give, something will change so that a piece of the battle will be over. Will it be completely over? Probably not, but a piece of it, maybe a chapter of it, could come to a dramatic end in some way. So that's just one of the opportunities. And of course, you want to look at in your chart, where do you have this Mercury at 3 degrees of Taurus, and where do you have Pluto at 3 degrees of Aquarius? Because they're creating the rub, right? The friction that will help you conclude wherever you have 22 degrees of Scorpio in your chart as well. So, like I said, there's some drama. We always look at all the energy. So I said there's a co-ruler, right? Mars. It was originally seen as the ruler of Scorpio before Pluto as a planet was identified, and then now it's a dwarf planet, and but it's still there. But now we look at Mars too, just to get another idea of what we could expect. Well, at this time, Mars is clear of its shadow. So thank God for that, because man, that was long and that was exhausting. And it's speaking in harmony with Venus in the sign of Aries. And Venus is moving forward. So these 2 planets both have had long retrogrades. Venus is almost clear of her shadow. Mars is, and they're speaking in harmony. So there's some opportunity for you, the individual Aries, to take a step forward, to make a change, to apply everything that you've been learning since literally the beginning of February in order to complete and conclude your Venus retrograde work. So again, this is about endings. It's about closure and completion. And so we have another set of planets speaking together in harmony that, again, give us that same kind of message. Now, the past can play, a unique role because, of course, we've got the South Node here in Virgo that speaks in harmony with the Moon and the Sun. And of course, that means the North Node is as well. So there's something fated about this full moon, which of course, why this time we've just understood who the new Pope is, right? It's an American Pope. Whoever placed their bets on that made big money because it was not expected at all, which again is this influence of Uranus, right? Stirring things up. Expect the unexpected when we're looking at Uranus energy. And it's all fated. And if you study or are interested in astrology for famous people, you want to go look at the fact that this new Pope happened to have Jupiter, a big spiritual leader, on his nodes, absolutely connected to his South Node, activating his North Node in an opposition. So again, as usual, these big changes are fated events, and that just happened to be going on the day that it was announced that this Pope was elected. So more to come on this story. I won't take too much time on that today, but it is going, something big will show up. I'm just going to tell you right now in June. So keep an eye on what's going on with Donald Trump and the Pope, and a lot of active energy going on in June. Looks very, very intriguing. So make sure again that you're subscribing so that we can talk more about that. All right. So that's a high level overview. Like I said, go read my article as well. But since we have a whole week to cover, I'm going to give you a quick breakdown by sign to see, what are you focused on and what might surprise you at the time of this full moon. All right. So let's get started with the sign of Aries. So Aries, this is your 8th house. These are all things that have to do with everything that we talked about with that Scorpio energy, because Scorpio is the 8th house. Pluto rules Scorpio. So this is a big time of rebirth and transformation for you. And it could happen as a result of somebody investing in you. 8th house is money that comes to us from other resources that we don't directly create. So it could be, like I said, somebody investing in you or your company. It could be a settlement of some kind, that money is coming to you. And there is something to do because of the fact that the sun with Uranus are in the 2nd house of the money you make, right? The opposite house, that says that potentially, right, this is your business and some kind of settlement, maybe a new contract, right? Something there that you have been doing and you have been working on is what leads to this additional investment coming in for you. And maybe it's the amount that's surprising. Maybe it's the group that invests in you is surprising, but something, hopefully a good, happy surprise, is coming and it affects your finances, Aries. Keep me posted. All right. Next we have Taurus. So Taurus, this is your 7th house, serious relationships, marriages, business partnerships, where you can have some kind of a big surprise ending. Now, is that a good surprise or a bad surprise? I guess it depends on how you feel about your marriage, if you're married. But that is a goal that you have for your relationships that is coming to an end in some way. Now, you having this in your 1st house, the surprise element, may be the one that surprises somebody else, right? With maybe your proclamation of love for somebody else that it takes them by surprise. But it's you who are surprising yourself and maybe ready to make a commitment, or maybe you're ready to get out of a commitment. But it's the relationships that you have with yourself and you have with others that are a part of this full moon event for you. Okay, next we have Gemini. And Geminis, this is happening in your 6th house of the work you do. It could be your health, things that are part of your day-to-day activities. Something in that realm is coming to an end. And some kind of a surprise, obviously, will happen with the help of this Taurus Sun and Uranus energy in your 12th house. So it could be a real big surprise because this is a house that rules things that are hidden. It can be a shock to the system. This does rule hospitals, so be careful with your health. And it could be like a big reorganization if you work for a large company, right? Because this does rule large institutions as well. And so the change within the institution trickles down and also affects you and the work that you do. So if you've been feeling stagnant or frustrated at work, the good news is there's about to be some big shakeups and changes, but I think in the end it will benefit you in a way that's positive because of the fact that you have Jupiter in your sign and Jupiter's starting to move forward now. So can you? All right. Next, we have Cancer. Cancer, this rules your 5th house of children. So there is something coming to a conclusion, maybe for one of your children. Maybe one of your children is going to announce that they're pregnant because of the fact this is Cancer and motherhood. And the 5th house is children. So it's a goal that is coming to a conclusion. And maybe it's your own, right? Maybe you're wanting to have children. And this is a time where that can come to fruition for you. Now, the challenge is coming from your 11th house of friends and networking groups and mentors. So this wanting to have children, maybe it is because of the advice you get from somebody else that has you able to actually do it. Maybe you've been struggling. And maybe this mentor doesn't think it's the right time for you to have children. So you have conflict over it, right? Just one of the many scenarios. It also could be romance and love. And maybe it's a friend, again, that is going to surprise you and express their feelings for you. Then you just have to decide, is this what I want to pursue? Maybe the North Node and the South Node have a little lesson for you with this person. All right. Keep me posted, Cancers. Next, we have Leo. So Leos, this is in your 4th house of home and family. That means that a goal you had for could be, again, motherhood. It could be buying a new home. It could just be moving and relocating is coming to fullness, coming to fruition at this time. So that could be coming to fruition because of something happening at the work you do, because that Sun and surprising Uranus energy are in your 10th house of career and fame and recognition. Maybe a raise gives you the opportunity to buy a new home or just to improve upon the home that you currently have. So there's definitely some good benefits in store for you, but whatever happens at work is surprising. So keep that in mind, that surprise may generate a change in location for you. Maybe you have to relocate for your job. All right, Virgos, this is happening for you in your 3rd house. So the 3rd house is our community. It's about communication. It could be transportation. It could be something to do with a sibling or a cousin. This is extended family member energy. So something, or maybe a role that you have in your community is, coming to completion and fullness at this time. It could be about learning. So maybe you're about to finish school, or maybe you're signing up for school. Maybe that's your goal. And it would have to do with maybe something in, the healing realm because of the Virgo energy. And then even Scorpio, right, Scorpio energy is a detective, right? So maybe you're somebody who likes to solve problems about people's health or uses alternative ways, right, to help people heal. So something's getting activated. And keep in mind, that South Node is in your sign this whole year. So you're learning to release and let things go. And that's a big indication that this is an active rebirth time for you, with the help of spirit and guides, because of the fact that the Sun and Uranus are in your 9th house. This could have to do with foreign people, foreign places. So there's movement and change involved, and what you value, what matters to you. And so something shocking could happen that helps you appreciate what it is that you have. All right. Next, we have Libras and Libra. So now we are at the second half of the zodiac. So all the things that we discussed from Aries through Virgo, now we have the second half of the zodiac, which has the exact same opposition, but of course in reverse. So Libras, for you, this is something coming to completion and fullness in the second house that is the money that you make. So what were your goals for yourself as far as your job goes, as far as your income goes? Well, there is some kind of tension in your eighth house, which can be your partner or your spouse's income, that is putting pressure on you. Or is it relieving pressure because of the surprise element of Uranus in your partner's eighth house energy, right? Against yours, that changes everything. And maybe their pay increases and it allows you to step back or make a big change. But something involving, of course, your income is coming up for resolution. All right, Scorpios, of course, this is happening in your first house. So this is for you the completion of a personal goal, a personal transformation journey that you have been on is now being realized. And it may have been a partner, right, that applied the pressure on you to make these changes for yourself and has highlighted you in some way so that you can truly see yourself, see your value, see your power, see your potential. So your partners can be your triggers, right? They're a mirror and a reflection. They're going to surprise you in some way. And as they do, you're going to fully understand who you are, what your power is, and be willing to step into that. Okay, Sagittarius. This is your 12th house. This is spirit world. It is things that are hidden from us. It's our subconscious mind. And so this can be an awakening of some kind for you as well. Now, if you happen to work in a hospital, then this could lead to a new beginning in your career as a result of something changing at a local level, right? So the 12th house and the 6th house axis, the 6th house is our mental health, it's our physical well-being. Something going on there is, surprising you, but it also could be the people that you work with on a day-to-day basis could suddenly change, and then that creates a new opportunity for you. Or the new opportunity that's presented for you causes a shake-up in what you do on a day-to-day basis. So something big is happening. Something big is changing. Of course, it is fated because the nodes are helping this energy along. So I know you like excitement. You're about to get some more. Let me know what it is, Sagittarius. All right, and then we have Capricorns. Capricorn, this happens in your 11th house of friends, networks, mentors. It is our fairy godparents, right? So something good, right, is showing up for you. You may be finding your tribe, finding where you fit in, where you belong, right? Something new is happening there. But you might have to let go of something that you love, something that you're passionate about in order to pursue this. The surprise energy comes from your 5th house. So it could be a child, could be a lover, right? Something that's connected to your heart, hobby. So maybe this is a new job opportunity for you, but it puts pressure on that other relationship in some way. So you got to figure out how you can balance the two. All right. Aquarius, this happens in your 10th house. This is your career, right? So a goal that you set for yourself 6 months ago about your career, about a promotion is coming to reality now. And it could have an effect of your home and family, right? Because this is that Leo and Aquarius axis, and where we said, Leos, you might get a new job and you might have to move. Well, it's the same for you, Aquarius. This new job could affect your home and family in some way, and there's pressure there that has to be rebalanced as a result of this new opportunity for you. But it's fated, so you just definitely want to go with it. And finally, we have this Pisces energy. This is in your 9th house. Foreign people, foreign places, higher education, spiritual education, right? It's the house that rules growth and expansion because it's ruled by Jupiter. So there is a big opportunity that might push you outside of your boundaries so that you can go big, right? The pressure, though, comes from the 3rd house with this Taurus energy, this surprise that happens within your community, maybe within your family, some shocking information, because the 3rd and 9th house are all about information, causes you to want to break free, to take off, to go big. Where do you want to go? Sky's the limit, Pisces. Don't hold back. And of course, you've got the North Node in your sign. So this is a huge opportunity of personal growth for you already. Now, good thing is at almost the end of this month, Saturn's going to get out of your sign and there'll be a lot less heaviness, especially where your health is concerned. So look forward to that. All right. Dun, da, da, da. That is the end of our forecast for the full moon in the sign of Scorpio, but we still have a whole week to talk about. So we are going to move through that now. Of course, I'll have the timestamps out here so that you can come back and review this. Keep in mind, while some things will happen because Uranus is involved and there's surprises and shocks, the light takes 2 weeks to fully drain from that full moon. So this could be the aha moment, but then all of the things have to fall in place. And it could take up to 2 weeks for it to fall in place until we get to that next new moon as well. So let's move to Tuesday. All right. On Tuesday, we are going to see Venus in Aries get through the eclipse point, which was at 9 degrees. So on her way forward, there can be something, some aha moment, something that you're ready to completely release as a result of all the work that you've been doing, like I said, since the beginning of February, which was where this Venus energy started. So what have you been working on? What have you been changing about yourself? Me, I've been changing my hair, right? It's like it keeps getting blonder or grayer, but it's a beauty thing, right? Related to the self. So what's your personal journey been? And that probably has something to do with, obviously, the house where you've had Venus transitioning and where you had that eclipse. Remember, eclipses break us free in a fated way from things that have been keeping us stuck for far too long. So this is it. Grand finale over these next 2 days. What are you releasing? What are you letting go of? What were your eclipse lessons about? Also, the heavy hitter, Saturn, is hitting its 29 degrees of Pisces. Now, this won't be a one and done story because Saturn is going to show us the work, right? What lessons do we need to learn? What tests will we have where our boundaries are concerned, where our health is concerned? We're going to see all of these things between now and May 25th, which is when Saturn will move into the sign of Aries and start to give us a preview. And, basically it's 3 years that Saturn's going through the sign of Aries for us to really, again, stand up for what we want and who we are, go after what we want. So much more to talk about. But today is the beginning of those final lessons. Now, Ceres, Ceres, is this feminine asteroid that has to do with harvesting, right? So we say that's a little sickle. And we harvest the food so that we can care and nurture other people. So this to me suggests, again, more work about tariffs, right? Because we can't harvest and deliver the food if it's blocked from being sent or received. So something is coming up. A leader is taking a very strong position on this work. And like I said, it will be with us for the next couple of weeks. And whatever this work is for you, it will come back when later in the year, Saturn comes back into the sign of Pisces along with Neptune. So there's some final work to do on our healthy boundaries, on our health, on our spirituality. What does this mean for the Pope, right? This is a very intense lesson. This Pope has to transcend generations of expectations and create a whole new image for the Catholic Church. That's this Pope's mission. And some will fight him strongly, and others, of course, will join in. So we'll be watching that storyline really unfold for the rest of this year. So expect some fireworks. What else is new? Of course, we will expect some fireworks. But again, where's this energy? Where's this test? Where's this intense lesson coming up for you in your chart? Now, it also doesn't have to be a bad lesson, right? It's you proving that you've been doing the work for the last 2.5 years that Saturn has been in Pisces. And when we've been doing the work, we can also be rewarded. But again, it's not done because of the fact that Saturn will come back here. And what's really intriguing is Neptune's going to do almost its entire retrograde at 29 degrees of Pisces. So start paying attention to what's showing up. And just know that there's way more to see, way more things that have been hidden and beneath the surface that are going to start being exposed for all of us. As somebody who has 29 degrees Saturn, I'm very intrigued about the work coming up. So far, it's been very interesting, so I'm expecting more curiosity. All right, let us move ahead to Wednesday. All right, on Wednesday, as I mentioned, here we go. Venus is clear of that eclipse point, still right there, right? So I said Tuesday, Wednesday, there can be some things that happen that feel like an eclipse moment. They feel faded. Things that are leaving and ending, all of those are possibilities. The other thing that we see today is Chiron is speaking at a weird angle. That's this green line to the south node. Now, this could be information about health. This could be information about something like COVID and where did it come from, right? Something that comes up very strangely. This could be information about any kind of wounding that we've experienced that was associated with the past. There's some kind of healing of whatever this event was for you, but it comes up in a really odd, unexpected way. And these have been talking together for a while now, but it's highlighted today, and we need to be willing to let it go, whatever it is, because of the fact that that eclipse point is activated too, right? It's the letting go, it's a releasing, it's karmic, it's the nodes. So what is it that will show up for you today in a weird, unexpected way somehow? And this will continue to be interesting as we move on into Thursday. So, getting closer here is the Sun to Uranus. As I mentioned, all week long, we're having this energy of surprise and unexpected twists and turns going on. Today, though, the sun speaks in harmony with the nodes. So it's a sextile over here to the north node in Pisces and a trine down here to the south node in Virgo. So it's fated success of some kind, right? That can be showing up for you based on the work that you did in the past, the south node, and where you're heading, opening the door to some new opportunity going forward. When you're doing that, when you're balancing the past with the future, you will succeed in some way. And maybe in a big way, depending on, of course, where you have this 25 degrees of Taurus being activated in your own chart. And because of the fact that there's still this Uranus energy that's surprising everything, everyone, how this opportunity comes up for you could be a big surprise, but definitely you want to take advantage of it, because when fate opens a door, you don't question it. You just step right through. And then definitely let me know what it is in the comments. All right, let's move ahead to Friday. So Friday, we have an opportunity to start paying attention to what's going on with Jupiter and Gemini. This has felt like a whole year of having fuzzy thinking because of the fact that Jupiter in the sign of Gemini is not in a good place, right? Jupiter wants big picture, and Gemini is this small little short story that where you have to keep your attention, just narrowly focused. And Jupiter wants to expand on that. Well, it can overwhelm you because the details have been just so much detail all the time, over and over and over. It's exhausting. But today, things are starting to shift a bit. We have Jupiter moving forward, and as it moves forward, it's speaking in harmony with Chiron, right? So finally, we're understanding our pain and what it's going to take to heal it. And then we're understanding what we have to change about the way we are thinking. So this is just getting started. And over the next few days, this is going to continue to increase in intensity. When Jupiter squares the nodes, it is something that changes for good, for a good reason. Even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment, it is for the greater good, whatever fate is about to change for us. So this could be a very big day on Friday. All right, let's move ahead to Saturday. And there we have it. Finally, what is this big surprise that we've been feeling, starting to get hints about all week long? What got started at the full moon may fully come to reality at this time. It can be shocking. It can be explosive, right? The stock market might go crazy today. Now, the sun, right? It's success. It's a leader. It's a leader who might shock and surprise us in some way today. And again, it could be about money. It could be about the stock market. It could be about, alternative funding, crypto coins, all that kind of things come up when we look at Uranus in the sign of Taurus. And keep in mind, Uranus is getting ready to wrap up its work in June. It's going to start moving into the sign of Gemini as Jupiter moves out of Gemini and gets into the sign of Cancer. So we're going to start to see, what does the transition begin to look like as Uranus wraps up its time in Taurus and then gets ready for the full shift in, I think it's July. Let me confirm. It is, yes, July 7th to be exact. And it promises to be a very intense time. All right. That is Saturday. Shocking, surprising. And then we finish the week off on Sunday with just as I mentioned, now Jupiter is full on a square exact to the north node, to the south node. Squares mean change. And this is a T square, right? Because of course the south node and north node are always in opposition with one another. And the way out of the pressure, the exit point, is through this Jupiter in Gemini energy. So, is this something shocking already about the Pope? It's a possibility. Something shocking about President Trump? Maybe. Maybe both. There is definitely something to learn and something to change in the way we think and communicate with one another. I know it's about communication also because of the fact that Mars in Leo, which is a leader, a forceful leader, passionate leader, is squaring with this young, youthful energy with Mercury in the sign of Taurus. So there is two different viewpoints that are clashing, and information and conversations and speeches and dialogue, all the conversations are a little heated and passionate, but they lead to creating change, right? So as we wrap up the week, we're feeling a shift is underway. Something big is coming, something big is changing. The surprises that we've been seeing all week long are just another indication of that. And today we also see the moon in the sign of Aquarius with Pluto, which was where the moon was as we were saying farewell to the last Pope. So there's something in the storyline that is intense, and emotionally, the people, Aquarius energy, are feeling a rebirth of some kind. So it promises, as always, to be a very interesting and unique week ahead. And then just briefly, as we focus on the next week, we're going to see a bit more of the same, right? Everything is just moving forward slowly. And as it does, then we'll start to understand and learn the lessons. We'll also see next week that the sun will finish its time in Taurus. It will move into the sign of Gemini. And as these big planets hit on these 0-degree points, it's important that we pay attention to the events. Because again, when Uranus comes in here in July and activates this point, the sun already is shining a spotlight on what the work for Uranus could look like for us. And remember, Uranus takes anywhere between 5 and 7 years to move through a sign. So at these initial moments where change happens is when we want to pay attention. Also because of the fact that these 0-degree moments are a reset moment. And these first degrees are where all the outer planets, Neptune, Saturn, and Pluto, are going to continue to work together to create major change in the collective. So something important that we want to pay attention to is going to be occurring on Wednesday of next week. So we'll come back and talk about it next week. We'll break it down. What does it mean? What's the storyline? What are some other things that happened in history at this 0-degree mark of the sign of Gemini? And I can tell you they're pretty explosive. So I look forward to breaking it all down for you next week. Like I said, make sure you go out to my website, maraleeburnett.com. Make sure you follow me every day to get a little bit of insight, and book a session with me if you want to know, especially because we're going to start to get in, like I said, to the eclipse season, and we've got some pretty intense energy with that. And keep in mind, all of this work that we're doing this year is going to lead up to a pretty intense new moon solar eclipse that happens at 29 degrees of the sign of Virgo in September. So we're edging closer and closer towards that, moving away from the new moon solar eclipse that we had at the end of March. It's a big year and big endings are still possible. So come work with me if you want to know what it means specifically in your own chart versus just these general predictions. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you. I appreciate your comments and your support, and I can't wait to talk to you next week. Take care, everybody. Be sure and check out your weekly tarot card messages as well. Those, along with this astro lesson, are going to give you the big picture. Thanks again for tuning in. Talk to you next week.